5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Background again.
Okay. So, another one from an RPG. This time from Square Enix. And will you say no, it is not a Final Fantasy game?
Ah. What else do they do?
Because I'm trying to think of a memorable shopkeeper from a Final Fantasy game.
That's the thing, yeah. I can't really think of the only person I can think of. Yeah, they're just general shopkeeps.
10 has Rin, which he is like a recurring shopkeeper, which kind of works. And then 14 has Rowena, who is the bane of existence for one particular character.
Yes,
But,
Rowena and Geralt.
Yes.
And technically, you could, at a stretch, you could technically put the Mandevils.
They're not
At
really
a stretch.
shopkeep.
But you can acquire stuff from them because they provide you with a certain item at the end of one of the expansions.
And the gold saucer.
That too.
But that's gambling, not shopkeeping.
But no, this is from one of my favorite RPGs ever. This is The World Ends With You, originally released on the DS many years ago, and subsequently re-released on various platforms. And that is the shopkeeper slash coffee enthusiast, Mr. Hanekama. Basically, he is a shopkeeper. He can sell you various cheap items because you meet him at the start of the game. He basically explains, hey, look, you're in this situation. Here's some basic information to help you survive this, what you're going through. And he does have a shop that you can go buy stuff off of from him. But he just gives off this extra energy of, hey, obviously he knows more than he's letting on, because most shopkeepers do, as we've alluded to many times in this list.
Shopkeepers are apparently pulling, they're capitalists. They're always in charge of the world.
Yeah, pretty much.
But yeah, he's always someone that seems to crop up at just the right time and at just the right situation. And as the game goes on, you understand why more and more. And there's quite a lot of hidden depth to his character. And it's just, to be fair, all of the shopkeepers in general in The World Ends With You are quite fun, because as time goes on, you can build up a rapport with them, and they change what they say to you and such. But yeah, no, it's a case of, he just immediately strikes me as, oh yes, he's a shopkeeper. He's someone that is basically, important in some aspects, but he also does study some pretty cool stuff as well. And yeah, he's just, that was one of the first things I thought of when I was told the idea of, okay, best shopkeepers in this case of, Mr. Hanekama from The World Ends With You. He may not be as grand as some of the others, but he did leave a very strong impression on myself.
The World Ends With You is one of those games where I've bought it twice, and I've still not played it. I've still full stop not played it, because it's one of those games. It's one that I need to sit down and dedicate time to, because certainly the DS version was quite difficult to play from my knowledge. Like, for me anyway, it required too much concentration on two screens, basically.
So basically fights were spread across two separate screens, and you had to keep cycling between both of them in order to make sure that you weren't being overwhelmed, and as well having to keep an eye on your shared health bar. And it took a lot of getting used to, but once I got into the swing of it, it sort of became really, really strong with me. But yeah, it is a tough game to get into, but if you want to give it a go, and you do like it, then it is a very rewarding title.
Yeah, and this is just the thing. Unfortunately, the most experience I've had with The World Ends With You is, ironically enough, in Kingdom Hearts. So
that is true.
boom drop distance.
Oh yeah, Moogles. Technically, Moogles.
Oh, Moogles.
Moogles are
From
shop-
Kingdom Hearts.
Hearts.
Yeah. Oh, and was
Louis,
it?
Louis.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But Moogles are shopkeepers in other Final Fantasy games as well. Okay.
Ah, yes, that is true.
I think that's an honourable mention. The problem.
Honorable mention, Kupo.
Yeah. But no, I need to play that game.
It's a, as I say, it's a tough one to get into, but if you can persevere through it, I think it's one of the strongest.
I've got it on Switch. I'll get through to it at some point. So my pick. Since we've already gone through Beedle, this is another character whose general introduction is "Oi!" And also comes from an RPG, just a very well-known one for the fact that you have two ways of basically playing the game. You can either murder everything or try and spare it.
Hey.
Hey.
So yeah, Tem from Undertale. Tem, technically a race, but there is a shopkeeper called Tem.
Yep.
Yep.
To be fair, part of the reason I'm putting Tem on this list is introduced me to the artist who designed a lot of the characters in Undertale, Terry. But this was kind of just a nod. But the Tems are just fun. They have a silly way of talking. And the shop itself, it's a weird one. They sell you Tem flakes, which are surprisingly useful, even though they seem a bit weird. But the other thing is...
I was like, yeah, the fact that you can use them as a item to stop a battle.
I think they can also buy healing ones as well.
Yeah, they heal, but you can also get if you happen to fight another Tem.
Oh,
she's
yes.
like, whoa, Tem flakes?
But the other thing you can do is, if you have enough gold, you can send Tem to college.
Yeah.
Tem get college to be better
Tem-
shopkeeper.
Send them to Coolidge.
Yes.
Yes. And then you get the best armor in the game.
Yeah.
Or at least you can buy it off them after they come
Isn't
back.
that the Tupperware armor?
Yes. Something like that. But it's supposed to, just double check, it's like one of the best armors in the game.
It's the best armor in the game, and it gets cheaper every time you die. It's basically a make the game easier.
Gosh, that sort of reminds me of an age-old adventure game I used to play called Lundra, and basically the best sword in the game was locked behind the fact that it was locked behind the number of times you died, and if you died, I think it was 64 times or more, the game takes pity on you. You can have this super powerful sword, but if you're too good at the game, I'm sorry, you're just going to get the second best sword.
Or the other one I remember that does something like that is Punch Out for the Wii, where if you lose 100 times, you get a headgear that protects you from taking damage when you get hit in the head. And because Little Mac's so short, everyone hits him in the head.
Oh.
But technically the game hints you at it, because Glass Joe gets it when you rematch him. Because just before you fight him, he's at 99 losses. So he gets to 100 losses. And it's like, yeah, you've been punched in the head too much times. Here is a headpiece. Protect your head. And then you can smash the headpiece off him during the battle. So, but yes, Tem is fun. And yeah, I've been following the artist ever since, and they are very much in their Final Fantasy 14
Yeah,
phase
pretty
of
much to
drawing
say I'm enjoying all their work. Yeah, but I don't even enjoy Final Fantasy, but they've been doing some very good artwork for that.
Yeah. But to be fair, even before they were doing 14 stuff, I just enjoyed their art style. It was nice.
Yeah.
All right, final round, I think.
I say it's taking it back round to me, and you know what? We're going to stick on track because we're going to go with the quote sequel, not sequel, to Undertale.
Alternative universe.
Yeah, alternative universe.
We're not entirely sure yet.
No, we're not quite sure they're the exact things. I'm fairly certain they are completely separate, and it's like because he said don't make your magnum opus first. I think Undertale is his experimental, but with like the same
Sort of feeling out what he can and can't do with the medium and such.
And of course, we're talking about Deltarune, if you hadn't quite figured that one out. I don't know how.
I thought you were on about the Earthbound Halloween hack.
Oh, yeah. That's the prequel.
No, I'm stuck with the prequel.
Oh, God. But yes, no, we are... I think, in terms of salesmen go... Spamton, Spamton, might be possibly the most well-known for me out there. I mean, what can a character who is based around all of the spam you get, all those emails, all those old phone calls, all those letters that used to come through your actual post box.
Which we used to, still do. It's the only post I get anymore.
Well, true. I mean, they're not as bad from that anymore because they realise it's just cheaper to mass send out emails.
Oh no! I have managed to fill my bin recently, like my outdoor bin, twice with them because I may have piled them up in a corner and forgotten to keep taking them downstairs.
Oops. Oh well. Yes, as a character of such memorable lines such as Little Sponge and Big Shop.
Oh, yes, Big Shop.
Big Shop, who becomes an actual boss by the end. He is the secret boss. If you do everything that he wants, you help him become the powerful boss of the chapter 2. Who I'm trying to think. I think he was easier than the Jevil. Certainly easier to get to than the Jevil.
Yeah,
No.
that's fair.
He was. Oh, hang on, I'm trying to remember now which one was the pain in the ass to get to. It was because the teacups. They're trying to rotate the teacups so you don't get hit by the bloody orbs. Whatever. Yeah, as a man who lives out in the dump, has multicolored glasses and shouts a lot. I mean, how could I not put him up there at the top?
Nah, that's fair.
I mean, he is certified the best salesman from 1997.
And I said in the tri-state area. which is
And now I have Ad Infinitum playing in my
I know. And yeah.
I should get the soundtrack for Undertale 2. I've got the soundtrack for not Deltarune 2. Sorry, I've got the soundtrack for Deltarune 1 because the World Revolving is one of my favourite tracks from that.
Oh,
Other than Rude Buster.
yeah.
No, but we're on about the Stupendium song.
Yes.
Ad
Oh,
Infinitum.
that one.
Yes.
Yeah. Which may or may not be playing in the background, depending on if it's quiet enough to not be too.
Otherwise, that's the track that's going to play in, between things.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean it's iconic, quite literally. Like he's like when you got songs made about you, such as that, you've done something right with the character.
Yes.
Does he actually sell you anything in the game?
He does. He sells potions, a bow tie. He also sells you the thorn ring in the Snowgrave route.
As I said, it's been a while since I played this.
Yeah, no, he actually does sell you things. The actual quality of the items is
dubious.
But yeah, no, he's he's up there.
Interestingly, your number one, your top one, my top one is also a shopkeeper.
But I'd hope so. That's the list.
Who's a secret boss.
Ooh.
Ooh.
But
No.
before we get there,
Yes, we have one more. We're one more before we get there.
Indeed. I gather we're doing honourable mentions after.
Yeah,
we'll
well,
do honorable mentions around up.
So I must say we started with a character called the Shopkeeper with Shadowfox, and we'll nearly end with a character called the Shopkeeper.
I have a couple of characters called Shopkeeper for my honorable mentions. To be fair,
But this is from one of my favourite games of, I think it was mid 2010s, and that is The Messenger, which is basically a throwback to platforming games akin to Ninja Gaiden and such. But throughout the game, you, as the messenger, have to have many frank and sort of enlightening discussions with a person known only as the Shopkeeper. And basically, yeah, you turn up to this mysterious realm where it's just manned by this person in a blue cloak. And basically, first impressions were not good. And the Shopkeeper basically takes immediate umbrage at you and makes it as awkward as possible, whilst acknowledging the fact that, yes, this is a video game. There are certain tropes we have to fulfill because, video game stuff. the fact is that the shopkeeper not only sells you items as well as a way allowing you to upgrade your abilities, but also provides a bit of context behind this mysterious world that you're being thrown into, as well as a few little nods and winks at, as I said, video game convention, as well as some really interesting and philosophical debates. Particularly if you're very interested in looking at their wardrobe. Seriously, there's about a 5-minute sequence where if you inspect the wardrobe so many times, the shopkeeper just basically goes, right, okay, you've asked for this, and basically goes off on this huge, long philosophical thoughts process and such, and basically then goes back to saying, and this is therefore the reason why you don't look in the wardrobe. But yeah, as with other shopkeepers I mentioned, they have a much grander part in the story. They sort of recur more and more as frequently as the plot progresses. But it's just a case of a nod and a wink to shopkeepers in general, as well as the trope of them, as well as actually being a somewhat important part of the game as well. But yeah, that is also one of the big sort of shopkeepers that stick in my mind in terms of the best ones around for me in the games I've played. And it's just, it's such a well-written character and such a well sort of structured in the same world. It kind of makes me sad that they didn't appear in Sea of Stars.
Yeah.
At least not overtly, anyway. They may have appeared in some way, shape, or form, but
you didn't find them.
I didn't find the exact links. But I've said this I think a couple of times to people. If you enjoy solid platforming games, solid adventure games, check out The Messenger. It's got a really nice couple of twists in terms of the gaming mechanics and such. That is my that's my final pick.
Good choice.
My final pick comes from a game we've already mentioned in passing, actually.
Oh, really?
They're a shopkeeper. They're also, they're your only shopkeeper in the game, I believe. They are also kind of your confident. They're fairly important to the plot per se, and also they're your weapons vendor.
I think I might know what this one is.
Yeah, you don't have to pay for the weapons. He does have to go through a lot of effort to get these weapons, but who do you think it is then?
Is it? I believe the name is Rodan from the Bayonetta series.
Correct.
Hey.
So yeah, I don't know if he's in the third game. I assume he must be, but he's definitely in the first two games, and he, in both cases, is your shopkeeper. He's your weapon vendor. Lovely guy. And then, you know, if you put a lot of hours into the game, he's also the hardest boss in the game. When I was actually looking up just to like find ideas for top shopkeepers, there were two sets of lists. There were most memorable shopkeepers and shopkeepers you don't screw with.
Yeah.
Rodan basically won every single one of the latter, for the most part. There was a couple where it was obvious it was like favoritism. And sure, you know, Andre puts up a good fight, but he's not too difficult if you know what you're doing or you're just overpowered. Rodan is, you know, help me. Like, if you can beat him, kudos. Don't know how you did it. I've watched videos to see the fights because I'm like, I'm not touching that. Because he's basically got all of your abilities in the first game. And in the second game, he seems to also, you know, gain a load more from everything else. But he's definitely a memorable character as well.
Oh, 100%. He was in my honorable mentions, actually.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's a good one to end with since this is airing on Radio Sega, Rodan.
Hey.
Yeah.
Or Rodin. I don't know how he's technically supposed to pronounce his name.
Just one of them.
Just one of them.
Yeah. And that will wrap up our list.
I say I do say our honourable mentions. Do we want to mention any? No, I've got a couple at least.
I've certainly got a few.
Yeah, same here.
I think most of them kind of got mentioned at least by you guys. Want to throw out? I don't know what the shopkeeper's name is, but from Tunic, who possibly has.
Yes, I don't know what their name is. I did see a speed run though, and they jokingly called them Steve.
Steve, yes. I mean, so the shopkeeping tunic is a sort of a floating fox skeleton, giant fox skeleton. That the first time you encounter it, you enter a completely pitch black. You encounter a completely pitch black room, and then suddenly this skull appears and the hands. And I left the room. I was like, no, back out. I thought it was a boss. I was not ready for that encounter.
Same. I literally just sort of turned tail and fled and went, nope, 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 nope.
And then you go back in there again later on, and you're like, he's got wares in front of him, and you're like, oh, you're my shopkeep.
Yeah,
Really?
I think I was like, oh, good, here's another fight, and it's like, oh, okay, no, this is good. I definitely didn't run away first time.
I was still in exploring mode. I was like, no, not boss yet. I haven't done the exploring. And I'm sure one that will be on your list is the Crypt of the Necrodancer.
Yeah, I think he's just called the Shopkeeper.
Yeah,
but he's definitely memorable.
definitely.
And the fact that he's a gameplay function as well, to a certain extent.
Yeah, so he's there. You go in, and you can tell where the shop is because he sings along to the music. So
Yeah.
you can like, where's the shop? Oh, it's getting louder. This direction. There he is.
Which is great. If you buy the soundtrack, you basically have to have the soundtrack twice. You have to have it with and without the shopkeeper on it.
Yeah.
That's a nice little touch actually. I recall watching someone did a music style Jeopardy quiz, where basically sort of given a topic and you're given a blast of music and you have to guess what game series it's from.
Mm-hmm.
And they were being particularly cruel as they played Dungeon Descent, the first level's music.
Yeah.
And one of the teams buzzed in and said, yeah, it's Crypt of the Necrodancer, Dungeon Descent. And they said, no, it's not that. Because they put in the Shopkeeper variant.
on a similar vein of your roguelike shopkeepers, almost like exactly the same role. I found out his name is called Bello, but it's the shopkeeper from Enter the Gungeon, who is another one where you don't screw with him. If you try and attack the shopkeeper in Crypt of the Necrodancer will hunt you down. Bello is exactly the same, except what he'll do is he'll remove all his items from sale, so you can't even steal from him, and then he'll start shooting you because it's the Gungeon. So
Yeah. I mean, it sounds very much like the shopkeeper from Spelunky as well.
which was also on my shortlist.
Yeah.
On my shortlist, very much in the same vein as Anna, you have Hachi from Advance Wars.
Yeah, that's true.
Who sells
Almost
for-
identical. vein,
almost
really.
identical, yeah, and also very tough person to fight against, because
Yes.
why not? And one I had on my list is one I'm surprised we didn't actually get mentioned at all, was a one where you actually play as the shopkeeper. This was a game.
I was thinking about a maybe, but then I was like, eh.
I mean, to be fair, part of the game does involve you having to manage a shop. So, yeah, because way back when there was a bunch of sort of indie games and such, and basically myself and a bunch of friends, the usuals, let's just say. We all picked this up, and this is Recettear, an item shop's tale, and the main character is Recet, who basically you play as the owner of a shop. You have to sell items in order to pay back a loan, and you have to go dungeon diving to find the items that you need in order to sell at a profit. But yeah, it's a case of you are playing the shopkeeper, and I just thought,
Yeah.
it's done better in other games, possibly, maybe, but that's the one that sort of sprung to mind in case of, this is something different, because it was the first time I encountered it. So yeah, and then others have been mentioned before. So the Rodan, Tem. There's just a lot of shopkeepers and a lot of games that do stick in my mind, and there are ones that I know of that case of, you've got Hammer from Aria, Dawn of Sorrow, and such. It's a case of they're memorable, but they're not. You can have tier lists of shopkeepers.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
could. I mean,
you could-
I had a few more. Go on.
I mean, I say I had a couple as well. I was thinking the the Palia chefs from Monster Hunter. They sell you your meals. They're technically shopkeep.
Oh yes.
Which
Yeah,
they don't really have much interaction, but watching a bunch of cats all cooking your food is still a rather
Yeah, but
funny.
they also have multiple animations, which is quite nice.
They do, yeah. And
then they also come back to do other food stuff in the later games.
yep. There's also game I'm playing a lot still. Zenless Zone Zero. You've got many shopkeepers in that one, including you've got the dog that runs the newsstand, Howl. Which I mean, if you've got a dog in a newsstand, that's immediately up there. And you've got the three little Bang Boos, Ask, Buy, and Change.
Yeah.
Which Bang Boos are just these little funny little robot rabbit kind of mascot things. Yeah. So I mean, again, it's like not necessarily major characters or anything, but you look at them, you gotta go, haha, that's kind of, I like that. It's like looking at a Moogle in Final Fantasy as a shopkeep. You kind of go, haha, cool thing.
Yeah.
Oh, what was the one from Ratchet and Clank? Was it Slim Delgado?
Slim Incognito.
Slim Incognito.
Yeah, who's basically just a pair of eyes. Yeah, I had a few. There's a couple of the ones I didn't mention. Hades had Charon, the boatman.
Oh yeah.
Another one of those ones that's a secret boss fight. If you try and steal from him, or I think it's if you try and buy something you don't have enough money, he gets a bit angry. And then the other one that was kind of on my thought radar was another Viking influence set from Bullets Per Minute.
Yeah, Hugin and Muninn.
Yeah.
The dancing chickens.
Yes. Which I always remember Muninn being the one that sells you weapons because I always read his name as Muggin.
Oh, I'll see like Muninn munitions.
Yeah, that's probably a good one. But yeah, I just kept reading it as like, yeah, he'll mug you. He's the one who helps you mug people.
Yeah. Again, like they do nothing other than they're dancing chickens to the music and have their own little beat going on. It's like that's sure.
It's still good.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. I think that's like some of the problem with Shopkeep. Some of the more memorable ones are just they're just a thing that happens, and it's like, yeah, that's a cool thing. I like that. There's not really much. There's not really much to talk about.
This is the thing. My last two are like technically they're shopkeeps because they own shops and they sell you stuff, but they're stuff you have to buy for plot reasons because they're from click and point adventure games.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, the first one is I believe he's been in every Monkey Island game.
Oh, Stan.
Yeah, good old Stan.
Good old Stan.
Incredibly, I don't understand how it works jacket. Stan is a salesman. I mean, that's his whole character. He is a salesman. But I kind of discounted him because does he really sell you stuff rather than it's you either?
He's an obstacle. You have to circumvent.
Yeah. It's a shopkeep versus like you don't. Yeah, it's an odd one. It's an awkward one to think about. It's not a.
Technically, in the first game, he does sell you a ship. Like, he legitimately sells you a ship.
He does, yes.
In the second game, you lock him in a coffin, I believe.
Yes, I believe so.
In the third game, you scam him out of life insurance, so you don't buy anything from him. He pays you. Oh god, what else?
I don't remember what he did in 4.
Nothing. You have to steal a leaflet from him. That's it.
And in Tales, he was
Your lawyer.
Your lawyer, yeah.
And then the recent one, he doesn't say you anything in that one. The other one being Bosco from Bosco's Inconvenience, which again, throughout the first game, he sells you something every episode, but the price keeps on getting stupidly higher. And in the last game, it's literally like, why are you charging us so much for this stuff? Because you fools keep paying it. It's like
supply and demand.
Yeah.
And it's just like, yes. So in the first game, you have to buy a tear gas grenade launcher, which is quite literally a salad thrower that you stick onions in. Tear gas grenade launcher.
Yep.
I'm trying to remember what some of the other ones were. They're really
wasn't
stupid.
wasn't one a truth serum, and it was just vodka.
Yeah, it's just vodka. And he charges. Hang on, so he charges for the vodka. I think he charges $100,000 for a bottle of Bosco vodka. But yeah, after the other stupid thing is he's so paranoid that every time you meet him, he's dressed as a different character. So the first game you just meet Bosco. The second act, he's like, I can't remember now.
I know the one. I know he tries selling you the vodka when he's dressed up
Russian.
as a Russian. Yeah.
Yeah, and in the last one, he's his own mother. And he's just like, I'm Bosco's mother. So yeah, I kind of discounted them because it's like, are they really shopkeepers? Technically, well, Bosco definitely is because he owns a shop, but
They get honourable mentions in the
yeah.
Yeah.
And also, I think I got one last honourable mention, one that I'm surprised didn't come up.
Mm-hmm.
The Merchant from Resident Evil 4.
Resident Evil 4. That was the last one I was going to do.
Yeah.
The problem is, I can't put it on my list because I've never played the game.
No, I mean, fair.
He's memorable, sure.
Yeah, absolutely a memorable one.
Absolutely, but to be honest, others just stick in my mind a lot more, which is crazy when you think about how prevalent the Merchant was when Resident Evil 4 was released.
Yeah. I feel like you can reference outside of it a lot as well. The whole
God, yeah.
what you're buying. just such a.
This is the thing. His voice lines are definitely memorable. It's one of those cases where actually the character's elevated by the voice acting very specifically.
True. Yes.
Exactly. I'm pretty certain Morshu would not have been as famous if it wasn't. If the cadence of his lines weren't said in quite that way.
Exactly. But I think that's about time for us to wrap it up. Thank you again to Shadowfox and the Random Genius for joining me. I think this lasted a bit longer than we were originally anticipating.
Extremely so. So less of a filler. I've kind of got a whole thing out of this.
Hey, at least that's us done for a couple of weeks, I guess. Let's back up. But yes, we will hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll catch you next time. And what are you buying?
Hopefully it's something fun. Have a nice one all.
Bye.